Hello, welcome to the Project Managers of America's video series, Episode 2, Budget, Timetable, and Risk Management. This episode is brought to you by Allison Taylor, Vivi Hahn, Tyler Townsend, Jasmine Justice, Alexis Brantley, Brandy Bozar, and Hannah Carpenter. The purpose of this video series is to walk you through the planning, executing, and closing parts of a project. The last episode went over project definition, which includes project selection, scope, the WBS, responsibility matrix, and communication plan. This episode will go over the next steps in a planning for a project. The steps include going over the budget, which includes the cost breakdown structure. It goes over the timetable next, which includes creating a network diagram and creating a project plan. Then finally, it goes over risk management, which includes the risk assessment form for likelihood and impact, a risk severity matrix, and creating a risk response matrix. To start off, we will discuss budget, specifically the cost breakdown structure. The cost breakdown structure accounts for all costs on a project. This includes labor, material, and asset costs. The best way to create the cost breakdown structure is to build it from the work breakdown structure. As you can see in the example, the descriptions from the work breakdown structure were removed and several columns were added to the right accounting costs. Ensure all costs are accounted for before moving on. It will be crucial to get an estimate of the project cost from the cost breakdown to ensure you do not go over the project's budget if applicable. Now we will move to the timetable portion, starting with the network diagram. The purpose of the network diagram is to show the logical order for all activities at the lowest level of the work breakdown structure. The network diagram is basically a diagram showing the order of events. The example shown here moves tasks from the left to the right. It only includes the lower level items. For instance, 1.1 or 1.2 is not on this diagram. A diagram like this could be created in Microsoft Word or a similar program. The project plan is also built from the work breakdown structure. In order to create it, simply add columns to the WBS. The columns will be titled Start, Finish, Duration, and Assigned to, as shown in the example here. The project plan outlines when steps of the work breakdown structure will occur and who is assigned to each of those steps. When assigning individuals to each step, refer back to the responsibility matrix that was discussed in episode 1. Now, moving on to risk management. The risk assessment form measures the likelihood and impact of risk events. The example here includes the likelihood, impact, and detection difficulty, which is represented by numbers. 1 would be the lowest and 4 being the highest for each. Identifying and rating the likelihood and impacts of risk events prior to a project starting will help prepare for when those events happen. A risk assessment form allows for project managers to determine which risks are more threatening and which risks can go ignored. The second step in risk management is the risk severity form. The risk severity form is used to prioritize all risk events listed in the risk assessment form. It uses the likelihood and impact readings from the risk assessment to show the severity. As you can see from the example, a risk severity form is shown as a 5x5 box representing different levels of impact and likelihood. It allows the project manager and team to use a basis for which risk events to address based on which severity zone they are in. Finally, the last part of risk management and the last tool for this episode is the risk response matrix. The risk response matrix is used to show how teams plan to handle risks when they are identified. As you can see from the example, the matrix will include the risk events, the response, the contingency plan, trigger, and who is responsible. Establishing the risk management roles before a project starts is crucial. It allows for the team to react as quickly and efficiently as possible. Risk events will occur, and it's important to have a plan in place. With that, this is the end of episode 2. This information is collected from the book Project Management, The Managerial Process by Eric Larson and Clifford Gray. Please stay tuned for the third and final episode, Execution and Closure.